With the first quarter of the 2023 season in the books, it's time to grade the Buffalo Bills' performance to this point today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of Go Bills and Buffalo's Run, also the co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Well, folks, I teased that we could have some bonus content this week, a 7th episode, if you will. And here it is. We're still going to do our typical Saturday conversation where I'll give you my final thoughts, my predictions for Sunday, and talk to Dr. Kyle Trimble about banged up Bills. And that's going to be an important conversation with Trey White, Von Miller, Gregory Rousseau. His foot injury is something that I'm quite concerned about. And so we're going to hear all about that. But today, I wanted to do a first quarter report card for the Buffalo Bills. We have 4 games in the books. The season you can kind of break down into quarters. It was a little easier when it was a 16-game schedule, and now it's a 17-game schedule. But you could still kind of do it. And so what I want to do and do this moving forward is a quarterly report and grade the Bills in critical areas and talk about what's going well, what can be better, and just really assess this football team. I think we spent a lot of time on this podcast reflecting on games. I love herd mentality. We do well to preview the upcoming game, but I want to have more regular checkpoints during the season to evaluate what's going on with the Buffalo Bills in terms of the big picture and not just, okay, this week in this last game. And so this is something I'll add every quarter, and now it's time to do that. And so we're going to evaluate the Buffalo Bills in a bunch of critical areas: passing offense, rushing offense, passing defense, rushing defense, situational stuff, special teams, players that I think the team can get more out of in the next 4 games, and the guys that are on a path to the Pro Bowl. That's what I want to consider right now. We're going to grade things in an A, B, C, D, F scale. An A means it's performing at an elite level. B means it's performing at an above average level. C is average. D is below average. And F is a fail. It means it's a fatal flaw for the football team. And so with the methodology out of the way, with the just setting the table out of the way, let's do it. Let's evaluate the Buffalo Bills. There's going to be a lot of data and metrics on this show because you know me, I like to validate my opinions with numbers. And so I'm going to have those for you. And it'll be interesting because I'll use the same numbers every time we do this, and we can really assess where those areas have gotten better or maybe fallen during that stretch of games. So we will start with the offense, which is currently scoring 34.8 points per game, second most in the NFL, and 391 yards per game, which is 6th most in the NFL. You kind of wonder if the Bills had to finish out the last 3 games, right? You got Kyle Allen coming in late in the 4th quarter, the last 3 weeks. Maybe there could be even more offensive production. So let's talk about this passing offense. 253 yards per game right now. That's 7th most in the NFL. 7 net yards per attempt. That's 4th most in the NFL. The Bills are getting sacked on 6.3% of passing plays. That's 16th in the league. They're getting pressured on 30.7% of passing attempts. That's 9th best in the league in terms of the 9th lowest rate. You want that number to be lower, obviously. Yards after catch percentage, 51.6%. That's 6th most. You can see a big uptick in the yards after catch, something we've talked about for years. It finally feels like that's turning the corner. The Bills have a drop rate of 1.5%, which is 4th best in the NFL. That's very good. Guys are pretty much catching the football when it's thrown to them. Josh Allen leads the league in completion percentage at 74.8, 6th in passing yards with 1,048, 2nd in passing touchdowns with 9, fourth in passer rating at 106.7. His interception percentage is 3%, ninth worst. Of course, the 3 interception game in week 1 doesn't help there. Passer rating under pressure, Josh Allen doing quite well here, 97.3 passer rating under pressure. That's 8th best in the league, and he has a 61.3 completion percentage under pressure. And so, you know me, I like to talk about quarterback stats under pressure, and I usually give you this huge contrast between when they're kept clean and when they're pressured. Well, for Josh Allen, still when he's under pressure, 97.3 passer rating. We just talked about Trevor Lawrence on yesterday's podcast. That was in the 60s. So Josh Allen last year was very good under pressure as well. So it's good to see that continue. Josh Allen with play action is killing it. Perfect passer rating, 158.3. That's first in the NFL. 451 passing yards on play action, first in the NFL. The frequency, though, 22.9% is 20th. So you can see me, I'm wanting even more play action. I've been talking about that for a long time. The delivery, the results have been there. Could still use even more of it, Ken. Tick it up even more, my guy. Screens, 9.2% of Josh Allen's passing plays are screens. That's 19th in the NFL. And the yards per attempt is only 3.9 at 21st. And so the Bills just aren't a good screen team, folks. Don't have a great answer for you. They're just not. And it's not very effective. Would it be nice for the Bills to be good at screens? Yes, but the reality is they're not. And there's a lot that goes into being a good screen team. And I think it's a minor concession that we can make in the overall scheme of how good this offense is. Josh Allen throws deep, meaning 20 yards or more down the field, 11.1% of the time. That's 18th. So not a huge amount of deep shots to this point. Josh Allen on those deep shots is 6 of 15 for 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Josh Allen's time to throw is 2.91 seconds, just 22nd in the NFL. Josh is never going to be a quick triggered quarterback, right? He's never going to be under 2.5 or anything like that. You know, the way that he plays the game, his ability to read deep into snaps off script, it's never going to be a low number there. His average depth of target is 7.8, which is 11th. So a lot of good here when it comes to this Bills passing offense. What is going well? Play action is obviously going well. Josh Allen's production there is off the charts. Could use even more of it. Stefon Diggs is going well. Very productive through 4 games. You can see Josh Allen and him are very much on the same page. And it looks like, it's going to be another very, very productive season with Josh Allen throwing the football to Stefon Diggs. I think pass protection has been really good. Go back to that Jets game, and you can see that's the one that brings some of these numbers down. But since then, it's been really good. And I thought the pass protection issues in that Jets game were less about the blocking and more about Josh Allen's decision-making and how he navigated the pocket that day. Yards after catch is going well. It's nice to see Josh Allen enjoy some additional production with his guys producing after the catch. I think that is a tribute to Josh Allen's accuracy, guys competing after the catch, but also the scheme. Josh Allen doing a better job of just running the offense, taking in-rhythm throws, dumping the ball down, and allowing guys to produce after the catch. So that's been very good. I think the scheme overall has been very good. Doing a good job of being willing to protect more, using protection to have delayed releases into space. I feel like the route combinations have been quite good in terms of making sure the spacing is solid. I really like the scheme right now. The efficiency overall, Josh Allen leading the league in completion percentage, that's not something I thought would be true at all. And so it's nice to see that happening. And they're not dropping passes, a drop rate of 1.5%. That's very good. It's not like there's a whole lot of production being left out on the field to this point. Now, where can the Bills passing offense be better? Vertical passing, right? The volume's not quite there. The production's just only average. I feel like there's more in the tank for the Bills to be a even better down the field passing offense. Screens, although I'm not expecting that to get a lot better. The production on screens just has never been very good, but it is an area where you feel like there can be some improvement, especially if you're going to throw screens 9% of the time. I think the Bills can still do better to establish ancillary weapons. I think there's been times this year where non-Stefon Diggs pass catchers have been pretty involved and productive, but I still think that there's more for pretty much all of these guys that aren't named Stefon Diggs, whether it's Kincaid, Dawson Knox, maybe even Gabe Davis to an extent, whoever that third receiver is, Trent Sherfield / Deontay Hardy / Khalil Shakir. I think there's more opportunity in the passing game for the running backs. And so I still think there's a whole lot more for this passing offense to achieve moving forward. And then interceptions, right? I think Josh, obviously the 3 interception game against the Jets, only one since, and it was kind of an arm punt. So I like where that's gone. It doesn't really even feel like Josh has been close to throwing a lot of interceptions since the Jets game, but it is still part of this sample size that we're reflecting on. And so I wanted to mention it here. So I give the Bills passing offense through the first quarter a B+. I think it's been really solid. It's certainly above average. Still some meat on the bone for where it can go moving forward. So I think that's what's exciting, is you feel good about where it's at, and you feel even better about where it can go and the reasons why it can go there. So a really good start throwing the football this year for the Buffalo Bills. All right, in just a moment, we're going to talk about the rushing offense and shift gears after that to the defensive side of the football. But first, need to tell you about Bird Dogs, folks. Bird Dogs makes the best shorts and the best joggers on the planet. They make you look good. They have this stretch khaki material that is designed to fit slimmer through your thigh, kind of give you that sculpted look. They fit so much better than regular shorts. They don't have that stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs actually invented cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki, but it stretches so that you get a way slimmer fit and you don't have to sacrifice movement. I love the versatility of these shorts. I can wear them around the house casually, can wear them out for date night, can wear them to the gym, can wear them on the golf course. They look good, and they're so versatile and so many great designs. I'm just a big fan. The best in the business. People talk about Lululemon. Well, Bird Dogs does the exact same thing, but they actually fit way better. So check them out. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL. Enter our promo code LockedOnNFL. That'll get you this free water bottle at checkout. It's a great water bottle. I love bringing it to the gym with me. I love the handle on it. Keeps everything cold. And then, again, birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL. That'll get you one of those free water bottles. And look, if you get some Bird Dogs, you won't want to take them off. We promise you. All right, folks, let's talk about this Buffalo Bills rushing offense. 138 yards per game right now. That's 8th best in the league. 4.6 yards per carry, which is a solid number. They're 7th in rushing yards when you only account for running backs, right? We've always talked about Josh Allen and how he's inflating rushing stats for the Bills. Not right now. That's not true at all. 7th most rushing yards in the NFL when only considering running backs. They have a 36.9 stuff percentage. This is a metric that I really like. Let me tell you what it means. 36.9 stuff percentage, which is 2nd best in the league. And that stuff percentage is the percentage of runs that do not result in a touchdown or a first down, less than 4 yards on first down, or less than 3 yards on any other down. So it's a true metric of how often you run the ball and do it successfully. And the Bills are 2nd best in that metric. They're also getting 2.5 yards after contact per attempt, which is 17th. 1.5 yards before contact, which is 9th. So I like the yards before contact. The yards after contact can certainly be a lot better. James Cook is currently 7th in the NFL in rushing yards with 296, and he's averaging 5.3 yards per carry. So, I mean, James Cook, you just have to be quite satisfied with what it looks like with him taking over as this lead running back and the volume that he's getting and how he's producing. It's been really good. So what is going well with the Bills rushing offense? Well, I think they have an identity. I love that about them. They've leaned into gap runs primarily. Talked about this a lot, where in the past it's been a blended run scheme. You've had a good mix of zone and gap running, but the effectiveness with gap was just always so much better. And then by the end of the season, they would be pretty much an exclusive gap rushing offense. They've embraced that from the outset this year, which I think is a really smart idea, especially with the insertion of Osiris Torrance at right guard. That plays into his strengths as a player and allows, him to be that physical people mover up front. And so I love the identity of this run scheme. I love how it's closing out games. You've seen late in each of the last 3 games, the Bills are up, have been able to bring in Kyle Allen, and then they've been able to get pretty much an explosive run, get a first down, and really just get out of the football game. And you see Kyle Allen kneeling down the ball as opposed to having to punt the ball back with 2.5 minutes left and, watch your defense go back out on the field. You can just get out of the football game, which has been really, really exciting. I think 3rd down rushing has been good. It's been exciting to see the Bills on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, be able to hand the ball off and get a first down. That's happened quite a bit. I think they're mixing in the running backs well. We talked about James Cook and him being the lead running back, and that looks really good. But also, I think they've been pretty effective at knowing when to bring in Latavius Murray and Damian Harris and complementing what James Cook gives you with different styles of backs and different skill sets you can challenge a defense with. The ball security has been elite. Nobody's fumbled on this football team outside of Josh Allen, and Josh Allen fumbled twice. No running back, no wide receiver. And so I love the ball security. I love that this rushing offense is producing without Josh Allen. Josh Allen through 4 games has 16 rushes. That's it. That's on pace for 68 on the season. And that would be his lowest by far. I mean, he's been well over 100 rushes every year, like 120 the last couple of years. And so for him to come down to 68 would be pretty stunning for me, but they haven't needed Josh Allen to run the football, especially in a called run, right? It's been some scrambles, not a ton, but there's been scrambles. But it's nice to see this rushing offense be able to produce without Josh Allen having to get a good chunk of it. So that's what's going well. I think where it can be better is after contact and forcing missed tackles. The Bills running backs have only forced 20 missed tackles this year. That's 18th in the NFL. So I think that might be a little bit of what you get with James Cook as your lead back, is a kind of a slender built guy, although his production post contact has been pretty good. But collectively as a team, forcing more missed tackles, being better through contact, I think is an area where they can be better, especially because they're getting pretty good displacement. I talked about there being 1.5 yards before contact, which is, top 10 in the league. It should be able to set yourself up for some good advantageous angles to take on tackles and get through contact. And then I think there's still some run block timing stuff with Connor McGovern and Mitch Morse that can be even better. I think there's been times where it's been consistent, but I feel like those guys are still kind of finding their way from a timing perspective in the run game, where I think some of the runs that could have been better have been the result of some coordination issues between McGovern and Mitch Morse. So I give the Bills rushing offense a B. And again, a B is an above average grade. I certainly don't think it's an elite level, so I don't give it an A. I put it at a B. I think it's above average, and there's a lot to like about what this rushing offense has been and, how it can continue to evolve with still a timing component where you have 2 new starters on this O-line and pretty much a brand new lead running back and 2 backups behind him, where, you think about running the football, and a lot of it is timing and being able to play off of your teammates, right? I listened to Jonathan Taylor. I've mentioned this quote before. Jonathan Taylor at the NFL Combine. I was at his press conference, and he was talking about vision, and he goes, vision's easy. He goes, what it really comes down to is understanding your blockers and how they're going to attack blocks and making them right. And where guys are aligned, knowing how your blockers are going to attack those blocks and then playing off of it, right? There's chemistry that's involved with that. And, the Bills are still a very new situation when it comes to a lot of the pieces that are involved in this rushing offense. And so I think it can be even better moving forward. All right, let's shift over to the defensive side of the football. Let's talk about pass defense. The Bills' pass defense has been sensational this year. The numbers, they're giving up 170 passing yards per game. That's 4th best in the league. 5.4 yards per pass play, which is 8th. Opposing quarterbacks have a 66.4 passer rating against the Bills, which is 2nd. The Bills have only given up 3 passing touchdowns. That's 3rd best in the league. They've taken away the football 8 times with an interception. That's the most in the NFL. They have the highest sack percentage in the league, 12.7%. They have the most sacks in the league. They have the number 1 pressure rate, 32.1% of pass plays they get pressure. That's best in the league. 17.6% blitz percentage. That's 3rd. So the 3rd least frequent blitz team. So you love that marriage of getting pressure, getting sacks, and not having to blitz. And they're also number 1 in quarterback hurries with 34. So what's going well with the Bills' pass defense? Everything's going well. The pass rush, the coverage, how it's married up. The coverage is complementing the rush. The linebackers have been so good in pass defense. Terrel Bernard and Matt Milano are top 5 in passer rating against their coverage so far this year among linebackers. They're taking away the football. They're limiting deep shots. The Bills have only had 4 passes this year that were targeted 20 yards or more down the field, and that the next closest is 8. Only 4 passing attempts in 4 games that were targeted 20 yards or more down the field. Again, the next closest is 8. They're taking away initial reads. Opposing quarterbacks only throw to their first read 55% of the time against the Bills. That's 3rd least frequent in the NFL. I mean, the passing defense has been so good from a coverage and from a pass rush perspective. Now, where can it be better? I really think it just comes down to Jordan Poyer. I feel like when I consider the performance, the numbers tell the story. It's been great. So where do you feel like it's been a little bit leaky and where can it improve? To me, it's Jordan Poyer. I think that's the guy that can elevate his game moving forward to make this pass defense even better. Now, obviously, there's a big adjustment coming without Trey White, and Christian Benford and Dane Jackson and Kyer Elam all move up the depth chart, and you lose Trey White, who is playing good football. So that's a big X factor moving forward. But looking at this 4-game stretch, I give it an A, which means it's performing at an elite level, and the numbers absolutely back up what I'm saying. Rushing defense. Here's the numbers. The Bills are allowing 119 rushing yards per game, which is 20th in the league. 6.3 yards per carry. That's dead last. The Bills are giving up the most yards per carry in the NFL at 6.3. They allow 0.27 missed tackles forced per attempt, which is 9th highest. This is bad. 4.73 yards after contact per attempt, which is dead last in the NFL by a full yard. Compared to the next closest team. The next closest team is actually 3.72. The Bills 4.73 yards after contact per rush. They allow 1.53 yards before contact per attempt, which is 22nd. 9.3% of runs against the Bills go for 15 or more yards, which is 31st. 42.5% stuff percentage, which is what we kind of talked about there in just a moment with the other side of the coin, where there are runs that do not result in a touchdown, first down, less than 4 yards on first down or 3 yards on any other down. And that's not another area where the Bills are performing well at all. So statistically, the Bills' run defense is not good. I think that there's some context here that matters. The explosive run against the Jets, really skewed those numbers. And then the Miami game completely skews the numbers because they held Miami to 7 carries for 30 yards in the first half. And then, the Bills are up by 3 scores going into the second half, and they started to play with more too high safety shells. They pulled a defender out of the box and said, Miami, you want running yards, come get them. You can have as many as you want. We're up by 3 scores. And that really skewed the second half numbers because the Bills just weren't as concerned with stopping the run. So I think there's kind of an asterisk with this. You kind of go back to the Raiders game and realize how good the run defense was. And like I said, on 26 of the 27 carries against the Jets, the first half against Miami, it feels misleading. Like I recognize these numbers are bad, but I also feel like when I study the reasons behind them, I come to a much better place. So what's going well with the run defense? Well, the Raiders game, the first half against Miami, all but 1 carry against the Jets. I think there's been some good situational run defense where there's been some short yardage success. Feels like when the Bills want to stop the run, they do. But there's been a few leaky moments, and that's for sure. So where can it be better? I think you can limit explosive runs, right? I mean, for all the commentary that I just offered, they've given up some explosive runs, too many explosive runs. There's no question. Tackling, we kind of went through that. The amount of forced missed tackles, the amount of yards after contact that teams are getting running the football against the Bills is good for them and bad for the Bills. So limiting explosive runs and tackling. And then I think there's 3 guys that on the D-line can play a lot better. Jordan Phillips, Tim Settle, and Shaq Lawson. For as good as the Bills' defensive line has not been because of those 3 guys. And I think they can certainly elevate their performance and make this this run defense better over the next stretch of games. So I give it a D. I mean, the metrics, I can't defend them. I can certainly give you context that I think matters to help with your perspective, but the way that this grading scale is, C is average. I can't put it at average. D is below average. And so that's where the Bills run defense settles for me. Again, a lot of context there. I don't find myself really concerned about it, but there's certainly areas that it can be better. And looking at the Bills' upcoming opponents, you feel like they're going to try to run the ball. So they'll be stressed in some different ways here moving forward. All right, we got some situational stuff, path to the Pro Bowl, special teams, guys that I'm looking for more out of here in the next segment. But first, I need to tell you about PrizePicks. Check them out, folks. PrizePicks is the funnest, most exciting, easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. I love the format. It's awesome. It's just you versus the numbers. It's not you versus thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. It's just you versus numbers. Here's what you do. You select 2 or more players. You pick more or less on their projected stats. You place your entry. That's it. Doesn't take long. You can make an entry in under a minute. And when you win, the withdrawals are super, super quick. Love watching football. Love watching sports. Love it even more when I have a PrizePicks entry going into a slate of games. It just makes it that much more exciting. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, folks, let's get into some situational stuff, special teams, players I'm looking for more out of, and guys that are on the path to the Pro Bowl. Situational numbers. Offensively, the Bills are scoring on 57% of drives. That's first in the NFL. They're turning over the football on offense 11.9% of the time, which is 12th in the NFL. Again, only one turnover since week 1 when Josh Allen turned it over 4 times, and it was the arm punt against, was it Washington? Yeah, it was against Washington. 51% third down conversion, second best in the league. 68.4 red zone touchdown percentage, 6th best in the league. Defensively, they allow a score on 23.8% of drives, which is 29th. Very good. So that's what, 3rd best. The Bills turn over the ball on take away the ball 26.2% of the time. First in the NFL. So it is more likely when you're on defense against the Bills, when you're on offense against the Bills defense, it's more likely that you're going to turn the ball over than you are to score. Love that. The Bills are giving up a first down conversion on third down 30.8% of the time, which is 5th best in the league, and 45.5% red zone touchdown percentage, which is 9th. So what's going well here? Pretty much all of it. Those are really sound numbers when it comes to score percentage, turnover percentage, takeaway percentage, third down percentage, red zone percentage. All of it's good. All of it's in the top 10. A lot of it's number 1 or 2. Where can it be better? I think it's the red zone turnover percentage, right? That's where you're not in the top 10. And again, it's trending in the right direction. 1 turnover since week 1. Special teams. Let's talk about the numbers. Punt coverage. The Bills have allowed 3 punt returns for 66 yards, 22 yards per return. And of course, the touchdown against the Jets. And the Bills right now are dead last in the NFL in punt coverage metrics in terms of yards per return. Again, only 3 punt returns to this point. Bills don't punt very often. In fact, they punted the least of any team in the league. Kick coverage, they've allowed 9 returns for 205 yards. That's 22.8 yards per return, which is 17th in the NFL. Kind of interesting, the Bills are getting a touchback 69% of the time, which is 7th lowest. So the Bills among the teams in the league are still doing the deal where they force kick returns. And it's been kind of good for the Bills, but not necessarily as consistent as we've seen it in the past. Field goals, Tyler Bass is 9 of 9 on field goals, including 3 of 3 from beyond 50, 16 of 16 on extra points. And punting, the Bills have only punted 7 times, which is the least in the NFL. And Sam Martin right now is 6th best in the league in EPA per punt. So he's having a good season. So what's going well with special teams? Kicking and punting. I mean, Tyler Bass and Sam Martin have been outstanding this year. And then where can it be better? I think the Bills' kick and punt coverage units can be better. They haven't looked as sure as I feel like they have in the past, to be honest with you. So the good news is they're not really punting very often, and they've been pretty much in control when they've kicked off and kind of choosing between touchbacks and when to force those returns. But I still think that there's room for them to be better. It certainly feels like it's getting better. I liked it a lot more against Miami than I have at certain points earlier in the season. So I give the Bills special teams to this point a B, because I think punting and kicking has been, at an elite level. The other stuff kind of brings it down. Players I'm looking for more out of in the next quarter, I think Kincaid and Knox are two guys. We talked about Kincaid. The catches have been there. The yards, right? I want to see him have a more dynamic role in this offense. I like that he has volume, but he can do more than what the Bills are asking him to do. And then Dawson Knox, right? Very modest production to this point. And he's still a handsomely played player. I know he's on the field to block. I know that his role in the scheme allows a lot to happen, but $14 million a year tight end, you want some volume there. I think the wide receiver 3 situation, whether it's Sherfield, Hardy, Shakir, I think there's some more to be had in terms of that position. I mentioned Jordan Phillips, Tim Settle, and Shaq Lawson. I think those 3 guys can give this team a whole lot more than they have. And we're talking Shaq Lawson, like 40% of defensive snaps. Settle and Phillips are both over 30%. And so for as good as this D-line is playing, those guys I don't think have really made much of an impact. Jordan Poyer is a guy that I think can play a lot better than he has moving forward. And then I'm also kind of concerned, or not concerned, but I'm interested in guys that are going to step in and have bigger roles. Von Miller didn't play at all in the first quarter. He's going to play moving forward. I want to see him step in and make Von Miller type impact. And then Dane Jackson now stepping in for Trey White. And maybe Kyer Elam gets some of those reps as well. Those guys who didn't have as big of a role in the first 3 games or 4 games, they're going to have more on their plate. And I'm kind of interested to see how they can impact things moving forward. So guys I think can give more to this team: Kincaid, Knox, wide receiver 3, Jordan Phillips, Tim Settle, Shaq Lawson, Jordan Poyer, and then the new names that are going to have a bigger role: Von Miller, Dane Jackson, Kyer Elam. Guys that I think are on the path to the Pro Bowl. Not that I'm predicting that they make the Pro Bowl, but they're performing at a Pro Bowl level that if it sustains itself, I think there's a good chance that they will be Pro Bowlers. And there's a pretty long list here: Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, Deion Dawkins, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau. Concerned about the foot injury there, so might not continue with his production with the time that I think he's going to miss. Matt Milano, Terrel Bernard, Micah Hyde, and Tyler Bass. So a healthy amount of players that I think are on a Pro Bowl path to this point. Again, Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, Deion Dawkins, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, Matt Milano, Terrel Bernard, Micah Hyde, and Tyler Bass. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this. I want to do this every quarter, really just assess this football team more consistently. And I think every 4 games provides a nice opportunity to do so. So hope you enjoyed. Give me your thoughts. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. Let me know the areas of the team that you're really satisfied with and kind of those areas that you feel like can improve and elevate this team's performance moving forward. We got more to talk about tomorrow. I'll be right back for you. Going to drop it in the morning, Saturday morning. We're going to have our last discussion before the Bills play the Jaguars. We'll talk to Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills. My final thoughts and my predictions for Sunday is all coming your way. So don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow.